All right, friends and fans of Bob's Farm Workshop, we are here in the shop today. We are preparing to go on a hot rod power tour. So I want to get this Mustang. I want to check the front wheel bearings, re-grease them, repack them. They haven't been done in 15 years. The brake pads are like still 3/8 of an inch thick. The brakes are fine. I want to replace the brake hose though. The hose is 17 years old or so. Because we bought this car in '96, and they could even be that old when I did them back then, which is probably possible. Now this line seems perfectly fine, and it probably would be perfectly fine, but I don't want to get in Kentucky or Tennessee or Indiana or someplace like that and have it burst. So I'd rather do it here, obviously, and so we're going to do that. I'm going to jack this up just a little bit so it's at working height. Okay. I tried using that wireless mic last episode, and it just whines, makes a whistling sound. So, all right. Center cap. Get yourself a screw and drive it underneath it. And you can see it moving. I'm standing right in front of you, of course. This retains your grease and keeps the dirt out of your wheel nut. Big old channel locks. Okay, I'm going to set the cap right here. Now this has got a cotter pin in it, and it looks like an 1/8 inch, and I almost bought 5/32, so we'll see if they fit. And they tell you not to reuse these, but you know, they've been around here once. I've reused them lots of times, but these do feel kind of small. That is too small. So I'm going to replace that with a 5/32 instead of an 1/8 inch. So what comes next? Well, we got to take this castellated washer nut thing off here that holds the nut. It's been a long time since I had this apart, so we're learning this together. This is a Granada spindle because this has the Ford Granada disc brake upgrade. So let me I'm gonna lay this paper towel out here so I got something to wipe my fingers on too. Don't get everything all gooey. It is nice to have this arm in here. And they're always gritty coming over the drilled holes. And you know what? I probably should remove the caliper first. And that takes an Allen wrench. This is one of those weird ones that you have to drive. I'll get you right down here so you can see. Now, this caliper is way out here. I guess that's the way it works. But you see it's got these dogs. And the caliper rides in this, and as it wears, it moves inward. And to get them out, you drive that wedge out. Gotcha? So I just happen to have set of nice T-bar Allen wrenches. Well, let's see what we got. I did soak these. Got to be a little bigger than that. You know what? I bet you it's 1/4 inch. But I bet you this 6mm fits. Yep. There's no 1/4 inch. Look at that. There's not any rust or nothing on this. See, this car doesn't see the dirt and filth. It's still got anti-seize on it. Anywho, now we got to take a hammer and a punch, or AKA old screwdriver, and you drive this out. And there's a spring clip on top of it. That takes up the slack. And that was still nice and greasy, so that's good. So now the caliper comes right off, and you can see it's still painted from when I did it eons ago. And we can take the nut off. Now I've got some rubber gloves here. I don't know. I'm already dirty. So I guess I'm not going to use them. I'm just going to wipe off. We're just trying to keep contamination out of this stuff. There's the retainer nut. All right, let's see. You'll see there's a hole through the tip of the shaft. How do we get the bearing out? You just, boom. You will see there is a retainer washer. And I'm pretty sure these are good Timken bearings. Yep. So there's the outer bearing and the washer. I'll have to clean them off. I'm going to clean these thoroughly. They're perfect. And I don't want to get my disc rotor filthy. My brake rotor. Now we have to, look at that. After 17 years, I still got red grease. I got to pry that grease seal out to get the inner bearing out. I'm going to do that on the bench. So, you just missed all that. The bearing was in here. I'm replaying it for you. The old axle seal was here. So all I did is took this pry bar, put it inside the seal above the bearing, give it a pop with my fist, and she popped right up and out. Okay, so that's how you remove that seal. And then your bearing comes out. And yeah, it looks like it could use a good cleaning. But everything else is in perfect shape. Look at that rotor. Alright, so as I said, I'm going to get some gasoline or paint thinner. And I'm going to clean these. I'm going to wipe them down as good as I can first. And I got to clean out the inside of that wheel as good as I can. These are good Timken bearings. There's perfect. There's no flat spots. They're just like new. This has maybe got 15,000 miles on them. So that guy, the washer, we'll just put new clean bearing grease. I bought some new grease. I've got about 3 cans of partial grease around here that I've used over the years. And okay, let's get a can or a tub and some gasoline or solvent. I wish I had some. Oh, those are so nice. I kind of wish I had some. So, again, these are Timken bearings, and they are for a 1975 through whatever Granada was, whenever it was made, for the Mustang Swamp. And the number on the inner bearing is L68 149, L68149, and the outer bearing is an LM12749, LM12749. So those are for your Granada swaps. And now I got to go get something to clean all this grease out of here. I'm going to start digging it out with my finger. I'll be really careful because there's going to be the back edges of these bearing races are going to be sharp. And so you don't want to rub your finger on them because you'll get like a razor blade cut. All right, the boss is going to bring me some Pepsi or Coke or Coke. I drink Coke Zero. So Coke Zero, if you want to sponsor me, I'm your biggest customer. You're never going to get all this grease out of here, and it's not bad grease anyway because it wasn't really riding on the bearings. It was just kind of hanging out in the middle of the hub. So I'm not going to lay this face down on its back, I mean, to scratch up my rotor. But I'm going to soak up a rag with some paint thinner or something and clean that out. I got a brake cleaner, duh. Let's see how that does. Of course, you got to try to get as much grease out of it as you can. It's actually pretty smooth in there. Of course, this stuff evaporates in about 13 seconds flat. Oops. Whew. That was fun. Burns too on your face. All right, well, here comes my pop, as we call it here in New York. I'm going to pause you while she's here. All right, so I've gotten some paint thinner here. We're going to drop these guys in, and we're going to see if it cuts the grease out. I mean, it is a solvent. They're really getting loose, so I guess it's cutting it out. Yeah. Now I want to set these out on a paper towel to drain. And when I push new grease in there, it'll push out some of that stuff too that didn't come out. I'm selling the old Astro van or taking it to the salvage yard one way or another. If I can't find anybody who wants to buy it for restoration, I can't really in good conscience sell it for use on the street because it seems to have frame issues. The front frame mounts are rusted free of the subframe, and that's not good. The nose of the van is dropping right down. All right, so I'm going to respray these with a little bit more brake cleaner. I'm going to blow them out. Now how this works is on these rotors, on these brakes, oops, I can't turn that too far. There is, you can see where the brake line comes into this fitting, and there's a clip that goes in here, like a spring-loaded clip. You got to pry that out. But then there's a, oh, excuse me, a nut right there, and I don't know if I got my flare nuts in here or not. Yes, I do. Perfect. Let's see what size we got. Ba-da-da-da, it's a little bit too small, and that's too loose. So it's got to be a 1/2 inch. It's got to be the 1/2 inch. I just got to get it oriented right. Yeah. That needs to unscrew from that guy. And that might be that size, which it is. I just gotta get that guy out of the way. Should I cap that on there with a hammer? Then I can't get it back off, can I? Thing is you just don't want to break these. Did nothing. I think it just popped off. These might be just shitty wrenches. Wait a minute. Let me try to get that out of the way a little bit. I might be better with just a good open end wrench on this. That's on the damn hose. There we go. Yeah, these ain't the world's best. And hoses, something gave, didn't it? Yep. Now I gotta lube this up. It's loose. I gotta drive that off. The screwdriver, or the wrench, I mean. Oh shit, I gotta take it out of the first one first. Okay. New plan. Let me soak that with a little QB. You don't want to twist your brake line off. The one I just knocked off in this, and he's already loose. But I gotta have that adapter. So what is that again? That's 1/2 inch. I'm just gonna try it with a 1/2 inch open end wrench. There we go. Good old craftsman. As my son-in-law calls it. Is it? Boy, I'm wondering if that's metric. What's close to a 1/2 inch? 13? Let's see if this one is the right size. Bingo, too small. So is that. So I gotta go get my metric wrenches. I'll be right back. All right, so we are back. Trying to get that nut off the backside, which of course it's right in your way. I need a 13. Is that a 12? No, it's gonna be a 10. It's still, what the hell? I got a smaller one. Is it a 9? 9 millimeter. Oh, gosh. No, you would think it was a 10. A millimeter is only 40 thousandths. But it's way too loose. Half inch, 3/8. We'll try a 3/8. That's it. Okay. So we got a 13 on the car, on the adapter, and a 10 millimeter nut here. And of course you want these really tight. And of course they're in such convenient places. Let me turn the wheel even more so I can reach it. I can't. Here, I'll turn it from over here. There we go. That's a little better. Not much, but a little. Oh, there she goes. And she's turning on the line just fine. And the whole thing has got to turn now to come out of that brake line. Wiggle the bracket a little bit. It helps take the stress load off those threads. Pull into the side or whatever they're doing. I think I need to loosen this one body bolt up. So it's, yeah, that we're pushing against. I think it's a self-tapper, so I gotta get the whammy jammy and get that off in there. I just take a ratchet. There we go. Yeah, this car is in remarkably good shape for all these years. There we go. Now she's unscrewed. Now she's just going to drip. Now I need to take that clip out. And that's just manpower. At least she's nice and greasy. See, that's just a fingered friction type clip. And now the whole thing is free and it just pulls out of the hole. I'm going to set the caliper right here for now. And we're going to... I really wouldn't have to push this back if I was just changing the shoes. But the reason I'm doing it is I want to force all the old fluid out and put nothing but new in. So if you've ever seen this trick, just put your caliper, I guess I'll get this out of here. This is ridiculous trying to do it in here. Alright. Here we go. Alright, so now I got the caliper on the bench here. And I'm just going to set it up so that put the clamp all the way into the bottom of the piston. Force it all the way back in. You get the old fluid out and you'll see it's coming out of the hose over here. Alright, now I just got to knock this out of here. I don't know if that's going to be metric or American. Markin. It's going to be big, whatever it is. 5/8. Yes, it is. Okay, so impact never hurt. Cool hose. It's got them little ribby things on it. Now I wonder if my new hose came with... I should just throw this in the junk, but I'm going to hang on to it for just a bit. You know, in case I got the wrong hoses. So there's the crush washer. That's your gasket. And I'm hoping my new hose has one, because we can put that right back on. Well, it did not come with a new crush washer, which sort of pisses me off. Come on, you know when you're doing this. I'm just going to dab up that oil. I'm just going to put it on the way it come off. It'll be fine. It's soft copper, that's the point. And you tighten the piss out of it. You don't put sealant on it. I left the clamp on it on purpose so I can tighten it, but you know what? I'm going to go put the clamp over here in the vise. I'm actually going to clamp it this way, the way I want to twist it. Oh, what are you doing? Kid, anyway. Dang kids. Okay, that's right in the center. Alright, let's see if I can bust my nuts, or just my knuckles this way. This says 5/8. This will be fine. I can get a good reef on this. hold it before, but it wasn't right. Okay, now it'll twist, but it won't spin. Get the handle out of the way so I don't bust my knuckles anymore. That's fine. I know I'm cooking the aluminum or the copper washer. And there you go. Easy peasy. Got that protector on here. So, all right, where were we? Okay, I been away for a couple of days, went to the lake, see what was going on up there for the first time this year. It was great to be up there. Where were we? Okay. I put the new hose on the caliper. I pushed the caliper back in with a C-clamp. I have got to wire brush these surfaces and put some anti-sneeze on them. I can see I did this 15 or so years ago and it's still got anti-seize on it. So I really didn't need to tear these brakes apart, but I wanted to change those hoses. So now we're under the car here, of course. See which one of these is greasable. That's greasable. That's greasable. Looks like it's been done recently though. That's greasable. Boy, I'm dripping oil. That bothers me a little bit. I don't know if it's the rear seal or if it's my gasket on my oil pan. A little bit don't hurt. All right, I'm going to eventually change the fuel line. Here's the fuel line, I think. Yes, it comes right along the frame here through these brackets. It's a little bit hard to see. It comes through this part because you can't get it through. There's a coupling here. Okay, there's clamps. I gotta find a clamp for this part. Do 3/8 line anyway. Then I got to put it under here. It's sitting on that. I'm going to have to move that. And then what does it do? It zigs up over the top of the wheel well, then comes across here. And we're going to mount the fuel pump right up here. I'm going to put some rubber padding under it. But anyway, back to what we were doing. Sorry. Oh, I bought my new, those are the original size. They're not the original wheels because the original wheels won't fit on the Granada hubs. These have to be later model Ford 14-inch, 6-inch rims. I bought radial TAs, I think they're 21570s, or maybe they're 20570s. 20570s. Okay, 20570, 14. They're the right size for the 14-inch to give us the right tire diameter. I wanted to take the big fat tires off for this road trip because I think she'll handle a lot better on the highway with the narrower tires. And they're freshly balanced and not worn at all. The old tires are 15, 17 years old. So let's put this baby back together. I'm going to drop it down a little bit so I can reach again. Let me see, what do I need to do first? I need to get that hub cleaned off and then grease my spindles and put it back together. So we're going to do that. All right, new battery's in. We're all set. I'm going to drop her down just a little bit. Now you can see better. These were new when I redid the car. These are special new control arms, new bushings and all that stuff. So the front end is very, very tight. I can get this guy set in here somewhere. Maybe just put him on in the right position. How's that sound? And see, that guy goes through like so. And it's a hex knot. And then the clip goes on. I guess that's... All right, she's going right together, good. All right, so I'm gonna pop this clip in. Now see how it's got two legs and hooks under it? And you just, and that holds it, just like that there. And anywhere near as rugged as the original. Now what was I using there before? Duh. 13 and a 10, I believe. I guess I gotta tighten that big one first. What size was that? Was that the 1/2 inch? Now I've got this stuff in the way again. Yeah. It's the 13, yes. All right. And that one, I can just find a big open end wrench for that, which is what it is. Which is the way he wanted it. Alright. We want these tight. No Lucy. No Lucy Goosey. I'm just going to hold that with the 5/8 right there. Okay, I'm going to hold up on this. Now these are flared fittings, so once you crunch them down a little bit, they should never leak. I can get that, I think. This is a shock absorber right here, you know. Alright. I don't think anything's going to leak, guys. Alright, so there we are with this hose replaced. I've got a clip to put right here. I bent out the brake line a little bit so that I can fit my grease gun in behind. This looks like a 1/2 inch. Tis. That secures everything so she don't jump around. Socket. Oh, that's rough on my hands. Well, we've got the system down anyway. Bingo. Brake line. Nice and secure. All right, now we got to get the caliper out of the way because this has got to go on next. Let me get you zoomed out here so you can see where I'm at. I got to clean up that. And then, and this grease is good. I don't see any debris in it. I'll just slick around in here. And that's fine. So now we're going to pack bearings and put in seals. Sorry, do that every time. Bob, stop. You drive me crazy, you idiot. All right. Let's do the bearings. See how nice that bearing and its races are? It's all perfect. I'll get the seals. Let's check to see if it's close. Bingo. All right, so what's the first thing we got to do? Well, we're going to put on some rubber gloves. See if I can get them on. I'm going to put them on with air, if you've ever seen that, big bearing. And you get yourself a glob of grease and you start pushing it down. And forcing it up into the bearing. And you can see it packing in the back. I'm going to do a little more because, you know, and when you press it down against your hand, it forces it up around the rollers. I'm not real adept at this, can you tell? Oh, it's sticky, man. But I can see it oozing up on this side when I push. So that's a good sign. I'm pressing against my palm and up in there. So now that I made a complete mess out of it, I probably should put a glob down in here. Rub it around on the race. And let's pack the other front bearing. Hopefully you'll be able to see that happen. Okay, see the crack in the back here? So what you're hoping to see is the grease come up between the rollers, and I just did. But pushing it against your palm, you're forcing it through the bearing. Looks like it's all the way through both sides. That isn't thick grease. All right. We're going to set him aside. I really don't want to take my gloves off until I get this put together. Now what we need to do, we need to drop our back bearing in, the inner bearing. And I have a very special tool that I use for seating these bearings, but you don't, or these seals, but you don't really need anything. We'll just put a little slicker in here like this. Set our seal on. Now what you can do, oh, there's my racing seal driver set right there. Okay, I'm going to use this. I have a square of wood. You've seen me use it in other videos. So I'm just trying to find something that'll sit on top of this. Just like, oh, bigger. All right, bingo. Now there's a special handle. And you hear the sound now? It's all the way in. And that holds your bearing in place too. Okay. Put a little grease on the bearing lips. Okay, so we're going to have to clean this all off before we put it on the car. Now, we can't get too much grease on these. Not that I know of. We should be done with this in just a second. What we're going to do is carry it over and put it on our spindle. We're going to clean this off with brake cleaner after we get it installed. Okay, so right on and all the way right onto the seal. Now the front bearing. There's a washer with a key in it. So he goes in the groove. A big nut. He won't go if you get him cross-threaded, so don't worry. Okay, I'm gonna go take these greasy gloves off. I'm just taking up the slack right now. Pushing it in. Okay, now it's tight. You can feel that it's tight. Watch out you don't pinch your fingers. So I tighten them up pretty good. Take it back and then hand tight. There's a castellated nut that goes right through here. Just like that. The crowns on that line up. Now I bought two sizes of cotter pins, but I think the bigger one is the one I need. Yeah, that's your better. There you go. Now that holds the nut, that little crown, see, so it can't unwind while you're going down the damn road. And those are just perfect. We're good for another 20, 30,000 miles. So you just grab on, turn him each way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of this off. See if these dikes will do it. Watch your eyes. No, it won't do it. Gonna have to do it with these. Oh, that cuts it easy. You're gonna have to cut it short on the next one. Because see, the cutters on these are close to the tip. Oh, there we go. All right, then we just keep wrapping it around. I guess we'll take the channel locks, squeeze them down. And that's it. And just for good measure, we can pack the dust cover nut with some grease too, because you know, if it gets hot, it'll start melting the grease. So the grease will flow. And we put it right on in there. Now if you want to do a real neat job without denting that all up like so many guys do, you put your tip of your screwdriver in there. Drive her down. May or may not be the right way, but it's my way. All right. Smooth as butter. Now I'm going to clean that all off with the brake clean. Soak my rag, hold it on the back, make sure I don't have anything on the back side. All right, now we are ready for the shoes, the pads. Now I gotta figure out which pad goes where. I guess that's probably not hard. Should I go get my anti-squeal? I think I got my anti-squeal right here. Lots of surface on these. Okay. I gotta figure out how they go. Well, this looks like the one that was against, no, this was against the front. So the other one is the moving pad. Yep. I can tell because there's a footprint from the piston on it. You can see the ring where the piston was against it. Give her a quick flush. I'm going to put a little bit of this brake quiet on it. It's supposed to stop from squeaking and squealing. So we'll put her on. You know, it just stops the resonance, I guess. So, get the caliper up here. It's got to go this way. That's the way she rides in there. Like that. So we'll put a little brake quiet on this. All right. Oh, now we got the anti-sneeze. Those. So I'm going to put just a little anti-seize on the rails on which the caliper travels. Don't want to get any on your brakes, however. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. With the caliper's laying back there. Okay, so now I just gotta drop it in here. How the heck? Hokeyest rig I ever did see. I can't remember how I did this, so I'm figuring this out as we go. Okay, gotta put some anti-sneeze in there. Anti-sneeze right in there. That's just so it doesn't get built up with rust too. I'll do one on the bottom too. There's a wedge that goes in the bottom. So this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. All right. Crank that baby up here. So that guy's just got to get trapped in there somehow. Now I've got the damn anti-squeak shit on the back of the rotor. All right. Man, Ford Engineering. Oh, I see. Okay. There's a groove down here for this brake pad to ride in. He goes on from the back. There we go. I see, said the blind man. There. All right. Now, we got that brake shoe and its appropriate grooves in these dogs that are on here. And now, we've got this wedge and thingy do that has to go in there. Jeevers. Who the hell comes up with this crap? All right. Now we just tap it in. Right about there. Well, that's the crappiest thing I ever saw, but hey, who am I to judge? I'm just a poor sap that has to use it. All right, and I see this. And that holds the wedge in place. Gives it a wedgie. The 6mm fits, it's not a perfect fit. But there you go. That rotor brake is done. Now we're going to go with the original wheels, which the original wheels are actually beautiful. Look at that. But now I got to be very careful not to push any pedals yet. Well, this side is still on, so. That's it for a brake rotor on an old Mustang. And this will self-adjust, see? As it squeezes into the brake square, it does that. Cool? Cool. I'll be getting the grease going under to the bottom of this. Okay, well now we got to do the other side, which is pretty much the same thing. All right. So here we go. We are taking the wheel off. We're on the second side of the car now. We'll just walk through this. I love my impact wrench. You can see the Kragers and the wide tires, but we're not going to be using those. Taking off the dust cap with some pliers here. Pry bar. Screwdriver. Cotter pins coming out, the castle nut. The spindle nut. Where'd I go down? Oh, I want to get the caliper off first. Drive out the wedge. Use the 6mm to get this retaining screw out of it. Removing the 10mm flare nut loose first. Needed vice grips on that one, they were tight. Lots of lube. Removing the strap nut, you can't see the strap, but there's a strap right there like on the other side. Got that 13mm nut in the 5/8 open end on the other side of the hose. They're real tight, so I gotta use the vice grips to crack them. Alright, the hose is loose. Pried the caliper loose. Ooh, get a little fast here. Now I'm gonna use a C-clamp to push the piston back and the caliper and squeeze out the old fluid. I guess I must have done that already because I'm draining it into the waste container. Putting the new hose back on with reusing the copper crush washer, but everything worked fine, it didn't leak. We're back from the trip already, of course. Back over to the bench. Pried out the seal, pulled out the bearing. Washing the bearings and the paint thinner. Blowing them out with the air off camera. Flushed them twice, it worked great. Paint thinner worked good to take the axle grease out. Wiping the axle out. Cleaning the bearings one more time. Blowing them out off camera. Putting the rubber gloves on with air. Packing the bearings with new axle grease. Greasing up the inside of the hub. Dropping the bearing in. Driving the seal on the back. spindle itself. Put in the washer, put the nut, tighten it down firm, back it up a quarter turn, pull it back till it touches, and put your cotter pin and castle nut and the cotter pin back in. I used a 5/32 cotter pin. Especially on the driver's side, as the car rolls forward, the hub turns the same direction as the nut. So if you didn't have the cotter pin in there, it would just unscrew immediately. Driving the dust cap back on. Bring on the caliper back. Connecting the hose back up to the steel lines through the bracket with the appropriate size wrenches. Now, I didn't show bleeding the system after you're done, but I'm sure most of you guys have bled brakes before. I didn't actually show that. But you do have to bleed the brakes after you do all this. You have to put new fluid in your master cylinder and let it run down through all the lines, and have somebody help pump the pedal and as you work the valves at each cylinder to get the air bubbles out. Do not drive your car unless you have them bled properly. Alright, we're almost to the end here. I'm anti-seizing the rails on the caliper bracket. Assuming on the caliper itself. Dropping the caliper with the shoes on it in. Can't see, but I'm driving the wedge in right now. And putting that 6mm bolt back in with the wrench. And we're done. So there you go, guys and gals. I need to grease all this stuff. It looks like it's pretty well greased. But I need to get in here and grease. So I said, this car rarely gets driven much, so. That isn't good at all. I gotta take this back off. That,
I'll tell you